CruzArmor here. Just want to do a quick demonstration on how to install Harley-Davidson fork leg protection kit. Very simple kit to install yourself if you follow instructions. So here's the kit, has everything in here that you would need. I'm going to go ahead and kind of go through what's in here, and went ahead and just, instead of doing this on the bike, I'm going to do it with the fork leg off the bike so you can see up close and personal how this thing's done. But on the instruction card, read through it, make sure and understand how everything works. But on the slip solution, you want to make sure and put on here, it's 8 drops per quart. So that's what I did. I have a 32-ounce bottle filled with water, put 8 drops of baby shampoo or dish soap, also works fine. And if you're using a smaller bottle, obviously adjust that mathematical equation of drops for your situation. You don't want too much soap. You don't want to shake it up. You don't want foam. You don't want to introduce air bubbles into the application. So if about 8 drops in this size, a 32 ounce, swirl it around, you'll get a mix that's not overly soapy, as you can see. There's just enough soap basically to allow the film to slip on top of the surface, but you don't want to introduce a lot of soap. It also comes with the squeegee, and then the kit itself, you're going to have a left side and a right side. So before starting, you want to make sure and find which piece fits on which side correctly. So we're going to go ahead and I'll set this up, and we're just going to lay this piece right on the top. So we found the piece. Again, you want everything to be really wet. Make sure everything's wet, the film's wet. Make sure your hands are clean, the area is clean and moist. That way you don't get dust flying around. And then it's a matter of just carefully peeling this off. Again, you want everything wet, even your fingers, so you don't leave your finger oils on the material. And then again, just spray everything really good. And then what you're gonna do is just literally lay it on the fork there, on the forward leading edge of the fork. And we're gonna start down at this end. So basically you just move it, up or down until this is lined up. So it's not overhanging. You don't want a lip overhanging. And then at that point, you start squeegeeing the water out. At this point, everything's gonna kind of slide. In the instructions, you'll see where if you want to mix up an alcohol mixture, you can do that, the 25% isopropyl. Usually we use that on bigger pieces to anchor things, because that will dry up quickly and allow the adhesive to stick quickly. And again, this film has an adhesive side and then a top coat self-healing side. So you want to make sure and put the sticky side down, which is the side that's against the paper when you peeled it off. But again, we're just going to you want to line this up with this reflector on this side. And literally, I just go up the middle, start chasing those liquid bubbles away from center and running them out. Again, if you have too much soap, the thing may just slip and slide and you won't ever get it to tack down. But again, with that 8 drops per 32 ounce, see, now it's starting to tack down. And so now once it's tacked and it's not moving, we'll go ahead and spray the top. If you keep this top surface moist, the squeegee really slides easily. And now I am applying a lot of pressure. You can't apply too much pressure. As long as this top coat is wet, you literally cannot harm it as long as everything's wet. And you can really press to get any of those last little bits of liquid out of there. So again, you're just focusing on this first. Then you go ahead and get this piece by running center and then outward. And then we'll worry about this top in a minute. So again, that's really it for this piece. I mean, everything's on, you're good to go. These couple little fingers is what we call them, where you have maybe it popping up a little. Those will lay down. We're gonna use a dry towel on it here in a minute when we're the next step, and those will lay right down. So again, we lift this up, make sure it's good and wet under there. Then you're gonna line this edge over here so it's straight. So it's running straight up the side. So it's not cockeyed one way or another. Usually on the bike, the can will be covering this area right here. So this barely slips up underneath the can when it's on the bike. Again, kind of the same process. You're just going to run it up. And again, at this point, I'm not applying much pressure, just kind of light, just to get all the main liquid out and the main bubbles and the big puddles of liquid that are under there. Now at this point that it's tacked down, now you can go ahead and spray it and go ahead and really lay into it to get all the bubbles out. I've seen some people that have installed them and they didn't really work these bubbles out. They didn't use enough pressure. They were, I think, kind of worried to harm the film. You cannot harm this film with a rubber squeegee and when it's wet here. You can really, I mean, you literally can, almost as hard as I can, and it won't do anything to it. So again, you're just getting all that moisture out, and that's really it on that. So you can take a dry towel. When you're doing this, you don't want to rub up against the edges, and which would lift it. So you just kind of press down the edges and run the same way you were running with the squeegee. And again, these two little areas down here, as you press those down and press the liquid out, they will lay right down. And depending where the temperature is, you want to do this 60 degrees or more. You don't want to do it out when it's 40, 50 degrees out. The adhesive side won't want to tack as much, and you don't want to do it out in the sun when it's 100 degrees either, because the moisture will evaporate so quickly that you won't be able to slide it. So that's really it for the leg. The other piece on here, which is on here, is a little piece for this nub where the fork bolt goes, the mounting bolt. So again, spray everything. Now this isn't going to lay on as because you have to stretch it slightly. So basically it's laid on. We're going to lay it on first because this thing's kind of rounded, so it's almost like the end of this is like a bowling ball that you're having to put it on. So again, you just want the center of it done, and then go ahead and just kind of work your way out. Again, with alcohol, this thing, you could stretch it and it will lay down quickly. Again, that's really it. Now, as far as everything else, so we, if you press out the liquid, then that will completely tack down there. And again, the warmer, or if you just let it dry for a moment, those little fingers, what we call those little fingers, will disappear. But just kind of be patient and push those out. If you want to speed up the process, basically just a little warmth. It's probably in this room right now, it's probably about 62 degrees where I'm at right now. So again, as things get warm, or if you're doing this outside where it's a little warmer, you wouldn't even need a heat gun to do this. But those will just lay down as they dry out a little bit. And that's basically it on there. So now those forks are protected. There's also the pieces for the can, which is very similar. I mean, the can is just a coffee cup up there, cowbell. So you just lay the piece over the front of that and do the same process. Slide it until it's in the correct position, and then use your squeegee up the center and work your way out the exact same way we just did with this. But at this point, the front of these forks are completely protected and ready to go. And if you haven't seen the wire brush demo, so you can literally take a wire brush to this stuff and again, it's self-healing. So the stuff will completely heal itself. Rocks will bounce off of it, small rocks, pebbles, because it has a top coat, which is self-healing with nanotechnology. And then underneath that is a rubber coat, which helps to bounce any rocks and things off of it. And then the lower layer is that adhesive. And we guarantee the stuff won't yellow, it won't lift, it won't peel. And again, It's self-healing and won't scratch. So it's not just like you're putting vinyl or some tape. There's some products out there which are just a tape that'll turn yellow, crack. The other thing with some of the products, if you peel them off years from now, they'll leave glue everywhere, which this won't do. So again, CruzArmor, you can check us out online, CruzArmor.com. Take care.